YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. Look what we've got here. This is a 400mm warbird from Eachine. It is the Zero. Mitsubishi made this thing. It's a really cool little thing. And then look at that. We even get a little scale pilot figurine that's cut out of cardboard. And then there's actually the back headrest thing there, which is pretty cool. And I just love, this plane comes with two two-bladed props and one three-bladed prop. I'm really happy with the way these things have worked in the past. And Camera Crew, show my favorite feature.
A squishy pair.
It has a squishy pair and a squishy tail wheel.
Squishy.
Now, it's not a steerable tail wheel, but here goes nothing, guys. As you can see, it is not calm right now, and that doesn't stop these little things from going. I have not given throttle yet, and I wanna show you how to set your one-touch U-turn, which I don't believe in. I think it's a terrible design. There you go. Okay, so as you can see, it wiggled its tail, and so what I'm gonna do is I'll fly and demonstrate that. In addition to the one-touch U-turn, I'm gonna do the aerobatics where you can do a loop, aerobatic, roll, or that sort of thing. So we're in beginner right now, all the way back towards your belly, and here goes nothing. All the way up throttle, all the way down throttle, and there it goes. One of the easier flying 400mm warbirds that we've seen from Eachine. Looks absolutely fantastic in the air. Gets really wonky in the advanced mode, unless of course you have decided to invest in a Radio Master or similar open TX transmitter that's going to allow you to use the multi-protocol function. Holy cow, there's there a plane right there? Oh, that's so cool. He just went in front of the sun. You see that? Really low. Show that person up in the air. That's why you got to be careful, guys. That guy is way close to the ground, maybe 1,000 feet, if that. But we're just going to go fly with him because we can in the foreground. So here we are, guys. That is so cool. Hey, get out of my airspace. Okay, one touch and back. Oh yeah, it does the loop and all. Okay, so auto leveling is definitely present. Let's bring it back down so we can see this a little bit better. Oh yeah, all right, cool. So now about half throttle, one touch and roll. Okay, a little bit higher throttle, one touch and roll. Very cool. But just be aware, once you give it the input to do a command for an aerobatic maneuver, it is gonna do it, even if there's a tree in the way or a windsock. So we're gonna go that way, and we're gonna see if we can pull this off here. One touch and then back. There's the loop again. Very cool and very fun, actually works. Now I'm gonna demonstrate what the one-touch U-turn does, and I hate this feature, but I'm still gonna show it anyway. That's the way we took off. Say you lose orientation, one-touch U-turn is gonna turn that plane around and bring it back homeward, sort of. So as you can see, it didn't even really work that good. That's why I don't show that feature and have never shown it until today, and I'm glad I haven't shown it because it's a terrible feature. It's gonna give you a false sense of security. You're gonna expect it to turn around and it won't necessarily, and that's why we don't share it. But look how sweet this plane is. Look at the tight quarters you can really fly this thing in. And of course, we have one of the most pristine camera crews in the history of camera crews here on Brian Phillips RC. And that is, of course, my wonderful wife, Megan. Look at that beautiful little airplane. Guys, really happy with the performance. The 400mm Warbird series is something fun. It is actually something to write home about. And I love the one-touch aerobatics. I can't believe I do. I think it's the lamest thing ever, and yet it works perfectly almost every time you try it, which is pretty cool. Sometimes you gotta get to the button a little quicker than you realize, but as you can see, it executes the maneuvers near flawlessly, and as you can tell, we are going with the wind, crosswind, and into the wind in all these maneuvers. There's one into the wind and right next to our windsock. Very cool. Now, let's go into intermediate mode or mid mode. Whoops. There's mid mode. Now, the only difference in middle mode is when you pull the stick back, it'll let you go all the way upside down, but only on the pitch axis. Watch the roll axis. It doesn't tip over. It'll get close, but it doesn't really tip over, okay? So what's nice about that is if you're in a troublesome spot and the wind is taking you, you can force it down, and as soon as you let go, it's going to, so out of the throttle, you can force that thing down pretty good. You see that? That's a really helpful tool in middle mode. Now, if you're ever in trouble and you think you're gonna get a flyaway And that's where one of these little planes actually literally flies away from you. Come up here, please. What I'm gonna do is I'll demonstrate going into the advanced mode is one of the best ways to get it back to ground, okay? I'm in advanced mode. You can point that thing right at the ground. And actually a little bit less wonky than I felt like it was yesterday. Of course, there's no stabilization or anything, but as you can see on the pitch axis, it's very, very touchy. But in this mode, you can do all the regular maneuvers that you would do with any other airplane. And yes, it may look easy when I'm flying it, but the truth is it's actually quite challenging to keep that thing in one direction with these sort of crappy gimbals. Okay, back into beginner mode. And what a beautiful, beautiful little plane. And I love that you can actually do touch and goes, and those soft tires really do help. And I'm so glad and proud of Eachine for doing that. I wish some of the other manufacturers would pay attention and take note. And look at that, nice touch and go. That's a perfect landing, guys. We've got wind. I mean, this is not light wind. It's going like this, and it is strong. It's blowing the camera crew's hair. Let's show them the hair. You ready? Great. Show the hair. Okay, the hair is moving. Look, it's moving, guys. So it's not calm, and that's what I want to point out. Now, let's do a hand launch. These little 400mm Warbirds from Eachine are great. Camera crew, hold please. If you want to just take a look at how nice this looks, my biggest complaint in terms of looks are the inboard ailerons. I wish they were outboard, and I think it would really improve the quality of flight performance. But at the same time, you're going to have a long linkage. It's going to add weight and cost, so they're not going to probably do that. But I do feel like these things, that's one of the biggest complaints. And then also the thick wing on the rudder and tail assembly sometimes looks a little bit wonk. Also, no steerable tail wheel. So there's definitely some drawbacks here. No LEDs. I feel like LEDs could be added and it would be such a cool feature on such a small aircraft. But also, if you ever do that, and if you're listening, manufacturers, don't do fake, stupid exhaust lights and stuff. I've seen that on a few planes, the dumbest thing ever. I want real looking, and I only want real looking. Navigation lights, maybe a tail light, maybe a fake gun light, that'd be cool. But beyond that, let's do a hand launch. Here we go, guys. Throttle about half or full, and just throw it. There you go, guys. Beginner aircraft is what this thing is. Hobby grade is what it's not, okay? Now, I'm gonna sit here and tell you something. This thing flies really pretty dang good for a little, you know, roughly $100 toy. And I gotta say, it is definitely getting better. It's close to hobby grade, but the thing is, it's not gonna fly like what you get from a Horizon Hobby Ultra Micro, but it's also gonna be quite a little bit cheaper. And yes, this one we ordered it with 3 batteries. You can get it with different number of batteries and very good amount of flight time, I would say, especially given the fact that it is not calm. And definitely love the one-touch aerobatics. That's definitely something you're not gonna tend to get in a hobby grade experience, and you don't need to be a very good pilot to do that. Now, if you have basic flight controls from flying little drones that you fly around the living room and sort of thing, then you could probably fly this right away, straight out of the box. But the truth is, if you know how to fly and you're a real pilot, RC pilot that is, then you'll have absolutely no problem flying these and you'll get a kick out of it. So really, I look at this and I think, what is the purpose of this plane? A, it's to get somebody in the air that wants to, if you want to wet their whistle and you don't have enough money to buy an NX8 and to buy an S2200 and to buy, you know, a few smart batteries and to buy all these, I mean, shoot, you're in at $1,000 before you're even flying, guys. And let's be real, for most people, that's not practical, especially if you're buying one for your kid. Yep. So what I see this for is I see this as an introductory toy grade experience that's gonna be perfect for a wanting kid. If I could have had this as a kid, I would have literally killed to have something this sweet in my repertoire. I love flying radio controlled airplanes, but even as a kid, I would have been able to do this. And I gotta say, guys, this one looks better than most of the rest. We had a P-51, there was an FW-109, there was also, or excuse me, BF-109, FW-190, I might be saying that one wrong. I apologize if I am. Corsair, T-28. T-28's one of my favorites, by the way.
They're getting more detailed.
They're getting more detailed. They're still quite light. And the thing that's so nice about this, guys, is most of these planes, you can just really, really abuse them and they will hold up. I mean, on a Horizon plane or the competitive brands, you can't bend the wings like this, okay? It's just not gonna happen. You can't pop the prop off. And toolless install, as you can see right here. Pop that right back on. And don't worry, of course, the one time I don't crash, I mean to crash. In fact, let's cartwheel the thing for the people. I'm gonna go ahead and do it under power. We'll probably lose the prop, which is what we wanna do. I don't wanna destroy it because it's so dang pretty, but let's go ahead and just at the last second jank it into the ground. Oh, see what I'm talking about, guys? The prop pops off and it doesn't even break most of the time. Now, if it does break, they give you 3 props, 1 3-bladed and 2 2-bladed props. So not to be confused with 3 of these. I do love these. The 3-bladed props look by far the best. And you know what I usually do? I keep these for my T28 because it's my favorite one. But the thing is, I love the way the Zero flies. And you might not be a huge fan of the Zero because it's, you know, they were basically with the Alliance of Evil, but let's just call it like this. Everything historical in scale aircraft is tenable in my opinion. Now, I'm not gonna be putting swastikas on my, you know, Nazi planes because I just feel like that's in bad taste, but I still love scale stuff from World War II. And the thing is, even though these guys were the enemy and they were coming in Zero, they were, oh, sorry about that, camera crew. They were crashing into our aircraft carriers and killing tons of Americans. I still think it's a freaking cool airplane. And that's the thing, just because you have a Zero in your living room does not mean you're celebrating the things that were happening at that time and era. Same thing with an FW-109, same thing with all the different fighters that were out there. I just love them, and it's so cool. And you can appreciate the aircraft even if you weren't on their side in the battle. So let's just say that, and let's just say what a cool aircraft. So I gotta say, I do wish they would revisit the P-51 because it's one of my favorites. And to be honest, the P-51 was one of the good ones that first came out, and it kind of introduced us to the capabilities in the 400mm Warbird series. But let's be honest, guys, we still are talking about toy grade. We're still talking about a button you press that helps you do a loop. It's not the same as flying an ultra micro extreme where you've got a literal and genuine flight experience. I do feel like this can help teach you what you need to know. And honestly, a lot of thoughts today. Better lighting. We flew this last night, admittedly, but the lighting was poor. So what we're probably doing, we're probably gonna just show this one if we don't have focus issues all the way through the video.
We should be good.
But I gotta say, guys, what a great little experience. And I gotta say, every time we do these little Warbirds, I have kind of the same impact, and that is, what a great toy. They're getting so much better. And the only time we've ever done one that we didn't like was the 500mm P-47. It was just, we could not get that thing to work to save our lives. And they just had some systemic issues with it. They really missed the boat. They used a different flight controller. And I just felt like, what the heck are you thinking, Eachine? So, of all the times that I wanted to smack them and say, what are you thinking? They didn't do squishy tires. What are you thinking? They didn't do LEDs. What are you thinking? They didn't do flaps, these sort of things that I'm constantly griping about. I gotta say, they did so many things right with this little Zero. And I gotta say, I love the fact that it flies really good. And even in a not dead calm situation. Guys, look, that thing is big. It's a windsock. It's designed to indicate the wind direction. Look at this, down here. Look at this little one down here, guys. There's a little windsock right at the end. That's to stop our Amazon and FedEx drivers and UPS drivers from coming off the road and making a huge pit. And they do that regularly. But down here, you can see that little one. It's blowing around like crazy, guys. So all I gotta say is, I don't even fly some of my bigger planes in this type of conditions. And look how beautiful it is. So I must say, and one thing I gotta warn you about on this livery, and that is, look how green this is. I must say, if the lighting was poor, it would blend into the trees. And even though the gray on the bottom is beautiful and nice high contrast, it definitely blends into the sky. There is a reason the Japanese painted these planes this way, because they wanted to blend in with the environment. They wanted not to be seen as they were aiming toward our American aircraft carriers. So all I've got to say is, what a beautiful little scale replica. And yes, even if it is toy grade, it's still an amazing experience and not for very much money. So guys, Eachine, good job. definitely check this thing out in the links in the video description below. If you want to help support us financially, buy those planes, but we never want you to buy the one that you don't like. We just want you buying what you do like. And I definitely have to say this is a great rendition. It's probably one of the best. I felt like the Spitfire and the FW109 were both great renditions of the 400mm Warbird series as well. They came out very recently as well, but I felt like the tails were squat and they didn't look quite right. But I feel like this one is a better scale line. I also feel like the prop size is more appropriate for the airframe. I also feel like the canopy is really well painted and it matches nicely. I kind of wish they would have did a contrasting color inside of here, but to be honest with you, it is great. These things with the softer foam are definitely going to be less clean and crisp around the edges, but the scale lines in general as you're flying are not going to be noticeable. So what I can say is this: any complaints you may have about this are going to be minor, and they're going to be shadows of the reality that you enjoy this so much. You're not going to care that much about the details, like the fact that you don't have a steerable tail wheel. Here's why. You start giving it throttle, it gets up off of that tail wheel, and you can use the rudder to actually control the plane. And truthfully, it doesn't have that weird moment where you're getting up to speed and then you finally get that tail up like we have, for instance, we had the 1500mm P47 just the other day. Had a hard time controlling it once it got down on the ground. You had this weird squat point where you would drop down to the ground and you kind of almost lost yaw authority because there wasn't enough air over this. And then of course you would finally get down to the tail dragger. Well, the tail dragger is up here. So it's a very short wheelbase. It's difficult to control. Same thing was true on the 1.5 meter P51 from E-Flight. Same exact experience. On these little ones, you just don't have any time. There's no transitory state between this where you're on the mains and then down to the ground. It just takes off and flies. It's so easy. So even if you were in a short order, you could take this thing off. If you have a really short runway or a sidewalk, you can take off, just hand launch the thing. Plus everything is sub 250. So you don't have to worry about no stupid remote ID or any other stupid rules that the federal government decides to, you know, basically stick in our face and make us swallow. All I've got to say is this thing is awesome. And if you really like airplanes, you're gonna love this airplane. So I would definitely suggest it. Now, is it any better than the other 400mm Warbirds? I don't know if it's drastically better. It's definitely better than the 500mm P47. But what I can say about this one is it feels slightly more refined. So if you're picking between this and the F4U Corsair, which we did recently, I feel like the F4U Corsair had a prop clearance issue, which is the only one we had issues with. I feel like the P51 didn't have any of those issues. I feel like the T28 was my favorite still, and here's why. Nose wheel. It's one of the few Warbirds in this World War II series where we actually have a nose gear, and nose gear tricycle landings are super fun on these little things. Now also, I must say, I admittedly took off the big wheel on my T28 and put a smaller one on, just that I stole from some other plane that I'd crashed, but we don't have squishy wheels like this. We have big, fake, foamy looking wheels on the T28, but they're still soft. So I gotta say, Eachine, you're making the right moves. You're doing function over form, which is what we need, but we still need the form too, because if it doesn't look scale enough, it's just gonna be lame. So don't be deceived. The internet is a big world of junk, and we're gonna help you bring the good stuff. So I can't speak for the other models, I can't speak for the other brands, but I can speak for this Eachine. It is very good, and we hope that you guys will buy one. And if you don't like the Zero, or if you don't like the Pacific, you know, and you wanna do one that's like the Alliance forces, that's fine too, we get that, and you're gonna enjoy the experience too. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna link to this one. We got ours with 3 batteries. The batteries are easy to load. Don't depend on the one-touch U-turn. It is a waste of time. I don't know why that tech is squeezed into this. I just as soon have another trimmer for my throttle, to be honest. I think it's a waste of space, but I do like the one-touch aerobatic. I think it's fun. It's gonna invigorate the children, the people that have less skills, and they really wanna see a loop. But here's the thing, guys. If all you're doing is flying a plane so you can do a loop, you're missing the boat. Flying an airplane is amazing in and of itself. That stuff is just the cherry on the sundae, okay? It's the topping, it's the exciting part. Everything else about this is really what I'm going for, and I love flying these airplanes. And I love it when I fly an unexpectedly good plane like this. And we have expected it because there's been so many of them. So admittedly, I feel like this flight experience is amazing. Dollar to donuts, this thing is good. This is your donut shop. Get this thing, you'll enjoy it. Yes, there's better Zeros. Yes, there's better planes. Yes, there's bigger planes. There's smaller planes. There's better planes, whatever. But this one's great. And I don't think you're gonna be disappointed if you buy one. So check it out in the link of the video description below. And if we help change your mind, you'll help support us a little bit in that regard. If you want to be one of our Patreons, we have a small group of people that are supporting us on a monthly basis. It's not enough to live on. We got a family of 6 here, but the thing is, it is really helpful and we appreciate you guys if you're one of our Patreons. Thanks. And also that does give you a little bit easier time getting a hold of us, just because we have so many comments. We can't keep up with them. We tried for years and we did, but we're getting to the point where we just can't keep up, even though we want to. And we don't want you guys to hear that wrong. If you leave comments, we do answer a lot of them. We just can't keep up. So we're trying our best. We're gonna try to get to more of them if we can in some way. But at the same time, Patreon is one way where you can get our ear a little bit easier. Also, we have PayPal if you want to throw us a few bucks because you can't buy this, or you're in Europe, or you're in China, or whatever. You can't get this shipped, even though you want to support Brian Phillips RC. That's one way you can do it, is Patreon and PayPal. But really, the easiest way is watch the videos, smash the like button, click the bell for notifications, and subscribe if you haven't already, for God's sake. We've got so many videos that you could literally spend a 2 or 3 year jail sentence and not watch them all. So by all means, if you're in jail right now and you're watching, congratulations, welcome to the family. We got a lot of jailbirds here. So anyway, if you guys like this plane and you can't wait to fly it in your own jail yard, by all means, bribe the, what do they call the person that watches over you in the jail?
The warden?
Bribe the warden.
Is that what they call them?
And find the green space in the middle, you know, like the little atrium area,
yeah,
and get this thing shipped. Make sure you ship 2, get 1 for the warden, and then you guys can go out there and between video clips, you can go ahead and fly these things. It'll be an amazing experience, and you can learn what you're gonna do when you come out of prison, and you can be positive, meaningful members of society, and you'll be flying these beautiful little warbirds, because by then it'll probably be illegal. So, anyway, just keep flying. That's all we got to say. We appreciate you. Come back for more. Oh, by the way, stay tuned. We got the unbox coming next, and you can see all the answers to your questions there. Stay tuned. YouTube, Brian Phillips. Been a long time. We got a box. We're gonna open it right now, here on camera, for YouTube. Oof, here it goes. Oh yeah. Before we start, I love the way they package these things in garbage bags like this. Get out of there. Okay, we'll cut it some more. And then Customs always like retapes it a million times. That's not us.
No, it is not.
Oh yeah, it's the Zero. So as you can see, this is one of those 400 millimeter Zeros, which is super cool. I have no idea what that symbol means, but we're about to find out. Eachine A6M Zero Mini RC Airplane, ages 14 plus, whatever that means. Don't know if that's necessarily correct, but that evidently is what they say. So let's open this thing up. We have been super happy with the 400 millimeter Warbirds. They have been super fun. As you can see, it's somewhat windy out there. We're hoping we can get this thing done before the sun sets. And that's one of the things that's so nice about these little planes. Oh yeah, that's actually nice looking. Now this comes ready to fly, of course, which means it comes with everything except for the transmitter batteries, which is really nice. Usually you need 4 AA's or 4 AAA's, depending on the model. We'll show you that here shortly. But as you can see, this thing is absolutely gorgeous. Look how nice that looks. Let's just whip this thing out right now. I'll go ahead and cut the tape. Now, one thing about these you need to understand is that you're gonna be just a little teeny bit below the full hobby grade experience. But look, they put a pilot in there. That is so cool. And they printed it on a piece of cardboard on both sides. But this is like one of the most detailed, and look, it's super light, but yet, oh, whoops, still strong. Yep. So that's really nice. And as you can see, we got another Zero over there. This one here is 400 millimeters compared to that. What was that, 980? Or is that 750? 750? Yeah, 750.
800 millimeter size class.
But yeah, as you can see, just absolutely gorgeous little plane. Can't wait to fly this thing for you. So let's see what else we have to do to get flying. Now, make no mistake, if you're not a skilled pilot, you can still get these things, and they come with auto leveling, and they come with spare props. In this case, it comes with another 2-bladed prop, and it also comes with a 3-bladed prop, which is super cool. I actually love the way these props work because they have a snap-on design. but they also send, usually with these in this bag, there's actually a little receptacle that goes onto the end of the motor shaft. So if you look real close, we can see, yep, that. So that thing is actually, watch this. If you crash and the prop comes off, they even give you the replacement for that, which is super nice. Now here's the thing, the word of warning. Don't break all of them off, but look, all you gotta do is kind of line that up, just pop it in, and you're ready to go again, which is crazy. And when these pop off, which admittedly they do pop off a lot, then it's no problem. Not a steerable tail wheel, but look, squishy tires, are you freaking kidding me? We get squishy tires on this thing? The Chinese are listening. Okay.
Always listening.
I wish the American companies that hired the Chinese to make their stuff would also listen. So anyway, getting back to the point, we're just gonna get this foam out of the way. So we got the little transmitter, nothing special to write home about. Got to peel this little plastic off. This is super critical stuff. No, I'm gonna leave it because it's driving me nuts. We have on-off lanyard attachment point, trim up, trim down. One-touch aerobatics, that's your throttle. That's gonna move your rudder, so it'll yaw the aircraft, so it kind of goes like this. Then this is gonna roll the aircraft with your ailerons, and then this is your elevator up, elevator down. So basically, pull back, goes up, push down, goes down, roll left, roll right, yaw left, yaw right. Throttle, less throttle, okay? Then we have expert, mid, and beginner. So you're gonna wanna be on the towards you side. I like how they labeled that finally. Expert, mid, beginner, okay? And then what you'll do for tricks is you'll press this and then pull the stick and it'll execute a loop. Or press this and press it like that and it'll execute a roll. Keeping in mind, it does not listen to your inputs during that period of time, so you better make sure you have enough room. But it is super fun, little useless trick that you can do with those things. So, really cool. Now let's see what else we got in the bag of goodies. Obviously, we need to get the battery charging. Oh, wow, it came with 3 batteries. And this time they didn't hide them in the aircraft. That's what I'm talking about, guys. Look, squishy tires. Look, squishy tires, folks. If you're watching this at home and you're working for one of the big brands, the American brands, why are the Chinese not giving you these tires? Because really, to be honest, not only do they look scale, but they actually perform well too. That is amazing. Oh man, that is awesome. I wish we could get those on the big planes. Like, why can't we?
Just because they're small?
I don't know, maybe they're like super cheap to make when they're small. Maybe it's like a foam O-ring or something, so they don't even have to manufacture, but I kind of doubt it. That looks totally like they made it. So very cool, beautiful look scale on the mains, which is really nice. One thing about Warbirds with fixed gear meaning you can pull these off, including the tail wheel. Oh look, there's even quality control. Wow. Yeah, I guess we'll wait and see how that works out. Okay, so we have 3. Looks like these batteries are 1S 400 milliamp hour. And they've got this Molex style connector, which is really nice. And then it does come with a provided charger, which is really nice. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and show you the provided charger, how to do it. And then of course this spare doohickey, which is what goes onto the prop shaft. So I'm actually gonna take that and I'm gonna slide all this stuff together in one bag, okay? Which is really nice. The T28 looks really nice. I love the painted tips on that. You know, I'm kind of wondering if I should just throw the 3-bladed prop on there right now, because I like the T28 with this on it, and by the way, these do work inner plane, okay? So if you decide you want to fly it like this, see how there's a Phillips screw at the front? Very simple. I'm gonna pop this off. The Phillips screw holds that clip to the prop, so you don't even have to screw that onto your plane. That is sweet. We're gonna totally do 3-bladed. And then I'm gonna take these 2 spare props, which by the way, they don't fly really any different, okay?
It's just a looks thing, right?
It's just a looks thing. There is actually a difference in motor performance and all that good stuff, but it's not gonna change your flight that much, okay? You get into the bigger planes, it makes a bigger difference, okay? So here we go. And yes, there is a little gearbox in there, I believe, on the motor. Okay, so this is a 1S charger for us. Goes into a USB port, so let's go see how that works real quick. We can get those started, and then we'll get our batteries into the transmitter. So if you don't already have one of these things, it's just like whatever you got lying around. You plug that into your wall outlet. This thing goes into that thing. Oops, I'll flip it so you guys can see the lights. There's a light on this side that'll come on. These things are pretty easy to plug in. They won't go wrong. So if you've got it right, like this, you should be good to go. Nice bright light should run for us and charge the batteries. But then right here, we've got what we recommend for people that want to charge more than one at a time. This is the Spectrum Micro LiPo charger. It's only 1S capable. It charges to 4.2 volts and 4.35 on the lithium polymer. That's AC input. So we're gonna plug this into the wall. Once we plug it into the wall, it wakes up. We can plug in the Molex connector here. Doesn't matter which channel. Okay, I'm gonna click, scroll in. These are 400 milliamp hours, so 0.4 amps at 1C charge rate. It's about 4.6 or 7. I'm gonna plop this in here and I'll show you we can charge a little bit quicker than that if you want. I'll go to like probably 1 amp. Actually, 4 times 3 would be what?
12.
1.2. Let's see how this goes. So that's the max 1.2. See, it's 0.005 to 1.2 amps. So we'll just show you how fast that goes. It's gonna charge it about 3 times as fast. Now this one, I don't know how fast it charges, but the light should change condition. And it says on here, it needs at least, it's a 0.5 through 2 amps at 5 volts. So that's the output. So based on the load requirement, it's gonna automatically charge at a certain rate. But just keep in mind, anytime you charge with the cheap Chinese chargers, they're gonna tend to go a little bit slower, and you might tend to get a little bit less accuracy on the finished charge level. So you can use like one of these and just verify if you're ever in questions. You can unplug this thing if you don't have one of these fancy chargers, which by the way, that thing is very economical. You can plug it into a regular balance charger, or excuse me, in this case, a voltage alarm, so 4.07 volts. And then we can let this charge, and look, we're already getting up there to 4.2, amazing. So what we're gonna do is we are gonna switch gears and put some batteries into the back of the transmitter and make sure that that thing's ready to go. As you know from our Unbox Build radio setup here on Brian Phillips RC, we love bringing you all the latest and greatest with regard to RC aircraft, and we do some ground vehicles too now. So this is AA, 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 and AA, so we'll pause and get those and put them in. All right, so we're gonna load these in here. Flat side of the battery goes toward the spring in any given position. Flat side in, flat side in, and there you go. So you got 4 batteries in there. Then you're gonna put your lid, whoops, backward. Okay, turn this on. Got a nice flashing light. All right, this thing also has a one-touch U-turn, which activates by going up, and then you turn it on by going up, and then you activate it by going down. And I'll show you here in the manual. I don't believe in this tool. I think it's a stupid tool. I would not recommend it. Place your plane heading on the takeoff direction. Do not unlock the throttle. Press the activation button and hold for several seconds until you hear a beep, okay? The activation is up. You're gonna press it up. It's a rocker switch. It goes all the way up for a few seconds till you hear the beep, and then down when you're ready for it to come back. So that means if your plane's flying away, oh wow, that's so cool. Johnny, look, look, oh no, I don't know what direction I'm going. Press the button, it'll turn around and come back the other direction. That's it. One time. That's it. So get out of jail free card if you want to call it that. Just don't get in that 6. If you get far enough away that you can't tell what direction you're going, slow down, control it to the ground if you can. Once you slow down in auto leveling, it'll pretty much just like glide around. You can just go in a circle right where it is. If you're over the top of trees, you're going to have to make a judgment call. So if it's ever going away from you, you can just yaw the plane like this until you figure out what direction it's going. Okay, if the wind is stronger than your yaw, then it can blow away from you. So just be careful. Flyaways are annoying, but it does happen. Don't get in that situation when you have a problem. Here's the transmitter instructions, just so you guys know all at once. Here's the gyro calibration right there if you're curious. And I'll show you guys the 1 key acrobatics, but if you want to see it in the manual, it's right here. As usual, you can pause the screen if you need to read any of that. And then don't forget to pack a lunch while flying.
Don't fly near the boskage.
Don't fly next to the boskage, which is a real word. Just us simpletons don't really know what it is.
We use here.
So, as you know, the 400 millimeter Warbird series has been phenomenal, and so we expect a lot from this plane. We've only had one Eachine that we didn't like, and it was basically the P47-500 did not do good. And we tried everything to get that thing to do good, and it just never did. Okay, so as you can see, this one's still charging, and it's charging, and it's gonna be going for a little bit longer. So what I'm gonna do is I'll grab my alarm and just double check real quick. We wanna get one flight in before the sun sets. So let's just jank this out. Okay, it's giving us a warning, as it should. Okay, it looks like we're at 4.15. That looks good enough for me for flying in this wind.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and flip this up. That's where it goes, right on that connector. It looks like they rearranged or changed that connector a little bit, so that's kind of interesting. I'm actually use the battery to help me pull that out, and I'm gonna fail epically. So what I'll do is I'll grab a screwdriver in this case, and I'm just gonna get down inside of there with a screwdriver until that thing pops out. There we go. So remember, on most airplanes, you want to start by powering up the transmitter. But on these airplanes, sometimes you've got to do it the other way around. Don't be surprised if that happens on this. I'm just going to go ahead and plug that in and slide the battery in. Very good fit on the battery, by the way. I got to say, XK, Eachine, excuse me, in this case, has done a really nice job on this. And about the only thing that we don't like about these little warbirds is the fact that it's really hard to keep track who made them, because it seems like there's a bit of a revolving door and they end up with some, I don't know, some weird name every 6 months or so that changes. In our case though, with Eachine, we've had pretty good luck. I did not get that battery in there very good, so I'm gonna grab a screwdriver real quick. Do you see what I did there, what I did wrong? I tried to tuck it in there, that was a bad move. What I wanna do is I wanna tuck this in a little bit better than what I did so that the lead doesn't get trapped. So like I said, the only thing we don't like about these ones is it's hard to keep track of who's making them, and they do occasionally change hands on who's either got the license, haha, it's Chinese, who knows about a license, or where to get them. And so when our links are live down below, if you ever click on one and they don't work, let us know and we will help you guys find a replacement. But for now, as you can see, it's kind of where it needs to be. Let's check throttle. Up and down, arms the throttle, roll left, roll right, elevator up, elevator down, yaw left, yaw right. Okay, so we're ready to fly, guys. These things are super fun. Hopefully this Unbox Build radio setup got you where you need to be. We love sharing the latest and greatest RC technology. This is no exception. Even the little stuff, even the cheap stuff, we wanna make sure you guys know what you're getting before you order. And that's why you come to Brian Phillips RC, or maybe you just need some help getting in the air and you're just getting back to the hobby. We're here for you. If you have questions, leave them down below. We'll do our best to answer them. We do have a handful of people that have been super supportive on Patreon. If you want to become one, there's a link down below this and at the very top of our Help Us list, which includes tons of airplanes down below. But if you can't figure out what our BPRC links are, just click on it, it'll tell you. Or you can go to brianphillipsrc.com, our domain, for our own website, and you can see a little bit better layout of what plane's what, and it'll take you to the playlist for a particular plane. Obviously, these little ones don't end up having more than like usually an Unbox Build and then a radio setup, as well as the Maiden flights, all conglomerated together. But on a plane like this is J11, we actually did that with 2 planes. This was a J11 and then also with an SU-27. But just to let you know, they're split out because they're longer videos because we have to do builds. So in this case, these are so short, we put it all together for you. And hopefully you like it, and hopefully you'll come back. Don't forget to smash the like button on the way out, and definitely click the bell for notifications. Subscribe if you haven't already. That is a huge way to help our channel to succeed. And obviously our long format does definitely kill us on YouTube. So we want to keep bringing it to you because we know that a lot of you need help all the way along the way and not just a blast through like we do on these short videos. But to be honest, these are really simple planes, so we don't want to waste a bunch of your time. If you come back for a more sophisticated plane, we will go into more detail. But definitely ask your questions. We'll do our best to get to them, and we appreciate you very much. Thanks for watching.